when I see you dancing, I'm like, hola, 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 hola. With your move fancy, make me wanna hola, 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 hola. I got your attention, spending that moolah, 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 moolah. I'm a drop poppin', pocket, swola, 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 swola.
You're listening to the Greeks Gridiron, live with Ethan Haristadoulou.
Swola, 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 swola.
All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Greeks Gridiron. I am Ethan Haristadoulou. It is June 7th, 2021, and boy, do we got a lot of news to talk about today. We have finally hit some newsworthy point in the off-season. It has been very dry the last few weeks, but I'm excited to get today's show rolling because there is so much for us to talk about. So why wait? Let's dive right into things. Actually, before we do, real quick, I wrote this down because I don't ever mention this, and I need to mention this. We are at 98 subs right now, and that is a pretty big deal. 98 subs, or 2 away from 100, at least the last time I checked. I don't know if that's changed since then, but if you are not already subscribed or you catch this video later on, smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, share, let people know what we're doing over here on the Greeks Gridiron over on YouTube. This is a side project for me that has become more of like a passion project, and honestly, this is something I'll be doing going forward for who even knows how long. I mean, this is something I want to keep doing for the rest of my life because I have so much fun doing it, collabing with people that I've collabed with. I have some stuff in the works here to really push the show far and beyond where we already are, and I'm really excited to get into that, and I can't wait to make the announcements on it. But again, make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. 98 subs, super exciting. Now, let's dive right into the thick of things, shall we? First things first. Here, let me go ahead and click this real quick. There we go. First things first, with the question of the day, and it leads off with today's massive headline. Obviously, the news broke yesterday. Julio Jones is now a Tennessee Titan. I'm going to be honest with you, very surprised about that. Now, my question for you guys regarding those Titans now, after making such a monster move here to really take that offense, to the next level. They already had A.J. Brown, who's emerging. Derrick Henry obviously has been steamrolling defenses for the last couple of years now on a crazy level, and now you get literally the best pass catcher in the NFL, honestly. I mean, a lot of people would sit there and look at Julio Jones and say he is the guy in the league. So my question being to you all, will the Titans be making the Super Bowl this year now with this upgraded offense? And that's quite a bold question to ask because it's not too often can you bring a player on the team and instantly consider them a Super Bowl contender. They've been a playoff contender the last few years, and a very strong one at that. They were just in the AFC Championship a couple of years ago when they fell to the Chiefs. But with the addition of Julio Jones, man, the Titans have got to be feeling good, and they've got to be thinking big. So again, question for you all, will the Titans be making the Super Bowl after trading for Julio Jones? Now, let's actually dive into this headline now, shall we? To my left here, you can see a nice edited image of Julio Jones in a Titans uniform, and I'm going to tell you right now, as a Colts fan, my stomach is sick because I was hoping that we would maybe be making a play for him, and I'm not a fan of seeing him in a Titans uniform, but nonetheless, he looks great, and this is really good for him. It broke yesterday by Diana Rossini that it was supposed to be happening fairly soon, and that the trade was going to be legitimized within the next few hours. And then sure enough, as we went through Sunday, the trade pretty much became official. Everyone was confirming it, and the news just kind of started flying everywhere. The compensation for this trade now. Let's talk about this a little bit because I was very interested in what got moved around for him. So the Titans gave up a 2022 second round pick and a 2023 fourth round pick, while the Falcons sent over Julio Jones and also sent a 2023 sixth round pick. So, did the Falcons get what they were looking for in this trade? I don't think so. I know that they were really hoping for that first round pick. It sounds like, based off reports, they never got offered the first round pick that they were looking for. There was a team that floated the idea, and I don't think the name came out, at least not from what I looked through. But the word is that somebody floated the idea of giving them a future first round pick, but it wasn't anything that was ever like an official offer. It was just like an idea that was being offered out to them. Now, Titans GM John Robinson stated that they have been in talks with Atlanta for at least the last 2 to 3 weeks regarding this trade. There was a lot of conversation about it heating up heading into the draft, and then apparently like the Ravens are really in on it, but once they drafted Rashad Bateman in the first round, they pulled themselves right out of there. The Patriots were a team that was rumored a lot, but it sounds like the conversations with the Patriots was never really that serious, mainly because he's going to be owed like $15.3 million in cap space, and the Falcons were not willing to take any of that cap money. So it sounded like they wanted to dump Julio and everything that they did not have to at least hold on to. So Robinson, on top of that, on Julio in an interview stated, "We feel like we had a good football team coming into today," and I would 100% agree with that. As a Colts fan, I have seen what you guys can do, especially with Derrick Henry in that backfield. Hopefully we've bolstered it today by adding Julio, and that had to have been in complete sarcasm because, I mean, come on now, you're adding Julio Jones. He said he can run the full route tree. He's got really good size. He's got a long catch radius, good catching skills. He's very strong with the ball in his hands, and I still think he can push the field down vertically. I agree with all of that. Julio Jones was hampered with a hamstring issue last year, and it's funny because I've gone through like social media and I've seen what people have said about him, and it's rather jarring how like out of the loop some people actually are with the Julio Jones injury situation. Some people for some reason seem to think that he's been hurt like every single year of his career, but I mean, he's coming off of 5 straight All-Pro years. What was it, 16 and 17 being first team All-Pros, the last 3 being second team All-Pros. And then aside from last year, Jones has only missed 4 games since 2013. I didn't even know that. And honestly, I was amongst a group that I thought he had been hurt more. I even had him in fantasy a couple of years ago, and I think I remember him missing 1 game. So I think because of that, and he was always on the injury report, but ended up playing, it made me feel like he was always hurt. He has had like a foot thing that's always kind of popped up here and there, but when he's fully healthy, I mean, the dude's literally the best wide receiver in the league, and I don't think you can really argue that with very much anybody else. I mean, there's a lot of people that are very good and very close, but I mean, year in and year out, Julio Jones has been putting up monster numbers. Come on now. And even with the injuries he had last year, only playing 9 games, 51 catches, 771 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's after missing, the 9 games he played, so what is that, like 6 more? How many games are there in a season? So he missed 7 games last year, and he still put up those numbers. So, I mean, this isn't like, he's not injury prone. And I know that some people are worried about that, and he is 32, and, ending of the career, he's getting close to the twilight period of his time. When you think back to not Julio Jones, excuse me, I was just stuck on the topic of Julio here. When you think back to Randy Moss, and I already know what some people are going to say, Randy Moss had Tom Brady thrown to him when he went to the Patriots. I know, but hear me out. When Randy Moss at 31 went to New England, a lot of people wrote him off as being done. He was washed up and blah, blah, blah. I understand that he's not, and you know what? Randy Moss, I put in a league of his own. And you know what? Feel free to argue this in the comment section down below. I personally think Randy Moss is the greatest wide receiver, period. I put him above Jerry Rice. That is a whole conversation we can have for another day. I might even do a video on that at some point and just kind of give my reasoning for why. Feel free to argue that as much as you want. Randy Moss in a class of his own. And then on top of that, Brady in a class of his own. Ryan Tannehill, though, has been one of the best quarterbacks within the last 2 years since coming to the Titans. I mean, his early career struggles was because of Adam Gase. It was not because of him, and I'll say that flat out. That's not a discussion to have. Ryan Tannehill the last 2 years has been very good. He has more touchdowns scored than Patrick Mahomes. I was looking at a graphic earlier today that was kind of reading out some of the stats. He has like a better passer rating, more touchdowns, a better completion percentage rating than Patrick Mahomes, and obviously Mahomes being like the gold standard of the NFL. I mean, there is so much to be excited about with Julio being in Tennessee, and I really think if he's healthy, dude, good luck stopping Tennessee. Literally, A.J. Brown was already coming up as an emerging threat. Now he doesn't have to worry about double teams because everyone has to account for Julio Jones. Derrick Henry's going to see less people stacked in the box. I mean, I'm a Colts fan, and I just did an AFC South power rankings video the other day. This completely trashed the video because I even said in the video, if the Titans get Julio Jones, they're the number 1 team in the AFC South going forward, in my opinion. So there's a lot to look forward to going into the season. there's not really much to say. I would say that the Titans at this point, they're like in between top 4 and 6 teams in the AFC. And I mean, they're probably closer to 4 than they are to 6. I mean, I cannot believe that he's in Tennessee. Part of me is flabbergasted as a Colts fan. The other part is just like, wow, I can't believe Julio Jones is not in ATL anymore. But I mean, hats off to the Titans for getting that trade done. I wanted to see him go there. I know there's a lot of other people and fans of other teams who are really hoping to see Julio Jones come their way. You know, to the people that are trying to, naysay Julio Jones and that, he's washed up or whatever. I'm sorry, man. He has not really had many injury problems in his career aside from 2013 and last year. Other than that, the dude's a legit all-pro every single year, year in and year out. Everyone thinks he's the best, and I'm pretty sure just about everybody in the league, if they had the cap space, would have made the same trade that the Titans just did today. But that's all I really got on Julio. Hats off to Tennessee, man. I am rather jealous as a Colts fan. Moving on to some other stories in the league on the topic of perennial all-pro players. This past weekend, Tom Brady's rookie card. Now, this is like the third time this offseason that Brady's rookie card has broken some sort of NFL card record for being sold at auctions. I cannot believe, this is one of those things where it's like, I remember being a kid and maybe I don't know if I had this exact card, but I mean, I had a handful of football cards growing up as a kid, and I don't know what happened to them all, to be honest with you guys. I wish I had kept them, but I just never really thought of collecting things like that as a kid. They were more just like nice to look at. Tom Brady's rookie card. This is his 2000 Playoff Contenders Championship Rookie Ticket Autograph Edition. The picture to my left is like, it's not the card, I don't think, but it is an image of like a mint 9, same exact kind of card type deal. It sold for $3.107 million at an auction. Like, imagine having that card just sitting somewhere, maybe you're, somebody who collected football cards back in the day. You're a Pats fan, and you have that card just sitting somewhere and you don't even know. I mean, dude, talk about a windfall. Brady had the previous record at $2.25 million that was set like 2 months ago. And apparently there's only 7 known to be in existence for this specific value and grading and everything. So the grade 9 mint of this card, not like only 7 of this card, but of this grading. I mean, to the other, because I think this is the third time this offseason this card has been sold, to the other 4 people that have this card, oh my God, talk about like biding your time and waiting for everyone else to sell theirs so you can get like a crazy windfall for it. Because I mean, the card has gone up in value almost like $1 million every single time it's been sold. I think the first time it was roughly like $1.2 million, then again at the 2.25, and then now again at 3.1. I mean, if you're that 7th guy who decides to sell his card, you're looking at selling that thing for like 7, 8, maybe 9 mil by the time the other cards get sold, if that's what you're aiming to do. If I was them, like, the money is so tempting, don't get me wrong, but part of me would want to hang on to that card forever because the value of it's only going to go up. But I mean, damn, imagine having that card right now. I'm jealous and I wish I had something like that. But crazy amount of money that these cards are going for. So, I mean, keep your eyes out, people. Check your collections of cards. What the heck do you have in there? And is it anything good? Because it might not mean much to you, but there's somebody out there who's willing to drop $3 million on a card, apparently. And it's literally just a piece of paper. Well, I guess cardboard, whatever you want to call it. So, I mean, goddamn. Now, on the topic of star quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers, the saga continues with him in Green Bay. It sounds like we are, again, we've talked about this pretty much every single week, at least once, maybe even twice, depending on how early on it was in the saga of this whole issue here. It sounds like he's probably not going to be reporting to the minicamp that starts this week. There's going to be 9 teams that report this week, Packers being one of them, and it sounds like he will not be there most likely. I guess there's been a lot of the wide receivers weren't in OTAs as well. It sounds like they're more than likely going to be there. A lot of them are in town or in the area. So it sounds like that's been sorted out, but the whole Aaron Rodgers thing is not going to be happening from what it sounds like. He apparently stands to lose about $93,000 in bonuses for missing the 3-day camp. Mark Murphy, in his monthly column on Packers.com, wrote out, "The situation we face with Aaron Rodgers has divided our fan base. The emails and letters that I've received reflect this fact. As I wrote here last month, we remain committed to resolving things with Aaron, and I want him to be our quarterback in 2021 and beyond. We are working to resolve the situation and realize that the less both sides say publicly, the better." So a few weeks ago, I would go ahead. I was, gung ho on the idea that Rodgers was out of Green Bay. And to be honest with you, I even have it written in my notes right here to make sure I state this. I really thought that he would have been gone right now, if I'm being completely honest with you guys. I did not expect him to be around at this point. I would have thought he would have been in Denver or somewhere else. It's like a really quarterback needy team. Like, I understand Denver got Bridgewater, but like, if Aaron Rodgers is there and the trade's possible, you're going to take Aaron Rodgers. But I would have thought he would have been gone by now. I'm starting to feel like, because there's just literal no silence, and based off this statement that President Murphy said, it almost feels like maybe they're inching closer to repairing the whole situation, or at least keeping Aaron Rodgers happy for another year. It would probably be in the Packers' best interest to try to at least keep him for one more year, whether he's in Green Bay for another. I don't think he's going to be around for more than 2 years in Green Bay after this has all happened. I think he's got another year or two, and he's either going to retire and go do something else like hosting Jeopardy, or he's going to end up on another team, is kind of how I look at it. But I'm really surprised he's still there, to be honest with you guys. A couple weeks ago, I was pegging June 1st as the day we were going to see some big moves. I said that Julio Jones being traded was probably more likely than Rodgers, but I still felt like the Rodgers thing was going to happen. And now we have Julio moved, but it sounds like the Rodgers thing, the Packers are very committed to keeping him there. But I still stand by what I have been saying, in that the Packers need to put their money where their mouth is. They traded up for Jordan Love last year. You were so confident. You moved up in the draft to get him. Put your money where your mouth is, move Aaron Rodgers, get the massive haul of picks that you can get for Rodgers right now. Stafford went for 2 first-rounders. Like, Rodgers is the MVP. What the hell can he go for? 3, maybe 4 first-round picks, or 3 first-round picks and some change? Like, you could get some serious compensation for him right now to build around Love. Unless, they're really regretting drafting Love and he has looked that bad behind the scenes and in practices and stuff like that. It does not make sense to me. Like, you are sitting on a treasure trove of picks right now, should you move him, or even like a good player and some picks. Like, there's really a lot that Green Bay could go after if they wanted to move Aaron Rodgers. I did mention, though, right before this, there are 9 teams starting mini camps this week. There are 8 other teams. Packers were obviously one of them. There's 8 other teams as well. Some notable things to watch as far as minicamps go on this weekend. This is an interesting time of year, because you start to see a lot more come out as far as like social media stuff comes from those team social media. From the team social media teams. I don't know. That sounds weird, but like the teams of the social media teams of the NFL teams. I don't know. That's a mess of words right there, but you get what I'm saying. They start posting out videos, things like that. Players start talking about how people are doing in camp and whatnot. Some of the big headlines looking in for this weekend: how's Brady going to be doing, if he's going to be doing anything after having knee surgery this past offseason? That's like something that has flown under the radar, given that they just won the Super Bowl and he is who he is, but has not been talked about as much as I feel like it would have been. It's very weird. But yes, he had knee surgery. What's he going to be doing for these next 3 days, if he's doing anything at all? It sounds like Tampa Bay has no real plans to push him if he's not able to do much. So something to keep an eye on there. The Daniel Jones in New York with all these new offensive weapons. How are those receivers going to look with him? This is a very big year for Daniel Jones. So a lot of people I know are looking at that and kind of seeing, how his progression is going to go. And is Kenny Golladay and John Ross and Kadarius Toney all going to make a big difference in him? How's Saquon Barkley going to look? Is he ready to go? Where is he in his rehab? That's another question I have as far as that goes. And then on top of that, Matthew Stafford in LA with that Rams offense. That this is do or die for Matthew Stafford. I'm a big Matthew Stafford fan. I've always been a Matthew Stafford fan, and he's one of those guys that is so underappreciated because of where he played. And I think that, now all eyes are going to be on him. He's in I think the 2nd or 3rd biggest market now in the NFL. So all eyes are going to be on him. The Dallas Cowboys are also starting at minicamp. And I think the big question for everybody is, how is this new look defense going to be? They brought in so many defensive pieces going through this past draft. They really skipped out on defense through free agency and then just went all in on defense through that draft. So very interesting to see how that goes. And this was something that was made aware to my attention earlier today. I didn't know about this. Chase Young skipped OTAs, but this minicamp coming up for the next 3 days is mandatory. So how's Chase Young going to look? 2nd year defensive rookie of the year. dude, Chase Young was so impressive last year, and it sounds like he's a workout machine. It doesn't sound like Washington was very concerned about him not being there. But, I mean, dude, he was so impressive, and I'm really expecting just another leap from him this year. That whole defensive front in Washington is unbelievable. They got 5 first-round picks just littered across that offensive line. Well, I guess 4 now because Ryan Kerrigan's gone. But still, 4 first-round picks littered all over the place. The last time we saw that was in San Francisco, and that was a damn good defense, if you ask me, when that was going on. So a lot of interesting little storylines going into the mini camps coming up the next few days. Be interesting to see what the social media teams put out and just kind of what the teams are sharing, the head coaches, other players, things like that. So definitely keep an eye on all that stuff. Now, outside the league, but also still relevant to the football world, this was something that came up the other day, and damn, was it an impressive throw, I guess is the only way you can really say this. And I'm going to go ahead and share this with you guys here. Let me just pull it up real quick and make sure this is unmuted. Full screen that. If you do not know who this is, Arch Manning, he is the nephew of Peyton and Eli, the son of Cooper Manning, the third Manning brother. He is 16 years old currently, and what is the high school he's playing at? He currently plays at, I have it written down here on my notes somewhere. I can't read now because of the lighting. I think it's Isidore Newman in New Orleans, or it's Isidore, one of those two. I want to say it's Isidore Newman in New Orleans. He's playing for the same high school that Eli and Peyton did. He has been starting since his freshman year, as opposed to how Eli and Peyton did not get to start until their sophomore years. A lot of people are saying that he's further along than Eli and Peyton were at the same age. And if that's the case, look out, because that's going to be pretty crazy. Eli Manning, Peyton Manning, both won 2 Super Bowls apiece. Hall of Fame careers, in my opinion, for both of them. And, you know, for those of you who say no to Eli, we'll get into that discussion at some other point in time. That is not for today. He's considered the top recruit going into college for the graduating class of 2023. That's for high school. I mean, he has gotten offers and he has visits everywhere. I mean, offers, I say, in terms of like verbal offers, not like official offers, because they can't give anything yet. But I mean, he has visits with Alabama, Georgia, Texas, Virginia. I mean, he's being looked at by everybody. He is considered, you know, the top QB in his class. And I mean, a lot to like about what he's doing. He just was at the Clemson camp this past weekend, and he threw an absolute bomb to Mateo, and I believe it's Ugalele. If I'm pronouncing that wrong, let me know in the please, like, type out like a pronunciation in the comment section below. Please let me know if I'm saying that out wrong, because I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that. That's a lot of A's and E's. And I have a pretty hard last name. Mine's Christodoulou, and that tops that for sure. But I have the video for you guys if you have not seen this. I mean, dude, the kid is so impressive. Take a look at this real quick and just check out this bomb of a play. Pump fake, flips the ball, launches it. I mean, we'll just take over that one more time. Maybe that little pump fake flips the ball. This kid's 16 years old. That's so talented. I mean, a lot to look forward to when he makes his way into the league. Oh, man. If he's that good, I mean, I don't even know. What the heck's going on here? Computer's giving me a hard time. I mean, if that's what he's looking like now, I cannot imagine once, you know, he gets a few years in college and what his college game's going to look like, especially if he's playing at like Alabama, Clemson, those big schools that have been in, you know, the Natty championship game for the last like handful of years. Whew, we are in for some good QB competitions the next few years. And he's not the only like up and coming quarterback that people are looking at. I know there's a couple other guys, and we'll be talking about them as well once we start rolling through this next season. But yeah, Arch Manning looking super impressive. Outside of the quarterback conversation, though, let's take a quick look at this. So Chad Ochocinco, the former Bengals star wideout, for those of you that don't know him, number 85, I mean, this dude was a stud as a wide receiver. He just competed in his first boxing match this past weekend. I didn't even know that this was going on up until the day of, so I don't understand how that got lost and not brought to my attention. But apparently pundits are saying that his debut was impressive. I need to figure out a way to go back and watch the fight. I don't know how I'm going to do that, but I would like to actually see what happened. He went one-on-one with a bare-knuckle fighter named Maxwell. I couldn't find a last name. It just went by Maxwell. I thought that was pretty weird. He's apparently 0-3 in bare knuckle fighting. He's 0-1 in boxing and then 2-3 in MMA. Apparently, Chad Ochocinco held his own up until the late fourth round. I did see the video, and I recommend you going on Twitter. You'll find it anywhere if you just look up Chad Ochocinco. He got knocked down in the fourth round with I think 54 seconds left, something like that. He got a stiff right to the jaw. Went down, but he did get right back to his feet and finished up the fight. There was no actual judges on site, so it was just like an exhibition. There was no official announcement of a winner or anything like that. But I did not know that he was pursuing boxing. He looked wicked good, really good shape. I mean, he's 43 years old, so I mean, you cannot knock him for trying it out. And on top of that, he had a really nice statement at the end, and this kind of hit me really well, so I wanted to share it with you all. After the fight, he went on to say, "My life has always been about taking chances and doing crazy stuff. This was on my bucket list. This was a message to everyone out there. Don't be scared to take chances and don't be afraid to fail. It's okay." That resonated with me on a pretty wild level, just on past personal experiences, shifting careers and just kind of reshaping my life over the last few years has been a whirlwind. And, hearing him say that as, an NFL pro and now moving his way into boxing at 43 years old and, basically telling everybody, it's okay to fail. It's okay to try things. Don't be afraid to do stuff. I 10 out of 10, 100% agree with that. If there's one thing to live by, it is do not be afraid to try something new and, experiment with different things. You don't need to drop what you're doing to try other things. You can try other things while you're doing what you're currently doing. That's kind of how I found this out. It's funny because my life, it was fitness for the last 5 years. And then I started streaming gaming, and then that wasn't really for me, but I still liked being on a microphone, and it spun into a open platform interview style conversation on YouTube, which then spun into a sports talk show now where I'm doing the NFL. So, I mean, don't be afraid to try things. And even if you try something and it's not quite what you want, but it's maybe in that direction, explore. There's other avenues to take. So, shout out to Chad Ochocinco for, setting an example for people. Try new things. Don't be afraid to push against the norm. And if there's naysayers, there's naysayers. You either prove them wrong or, you get knocked down, but you get up and you try something else. But that's all I got to say on that. The last piece of news that I have for you all, and this has been something that I've been keeping an eye on and is pretty big. So Juwan James, I want to say almost a month ago now at this point. I don't remember how long ago exactly it was, but he ruptured his Achilles tendon and he, done for the year. Obviously, you hurt your Achilles, you are not going to be playing at least for, another year, period. The Achilles tendon, that's probably one of the worst injuries you get. If you've ever seen somebody tear an Achilles tendon, it basically, if it's clean cut, will just shoot right up your calf muscle and becomes like a giant lump at the top right behind your knee. It's pretty nasty. Don't recommend looking it up and seeing pictures, but if you're interested, you can definitely find out what one actually looks like up close. He's apparently filed a grievance against the Broncos seeking the $15 million he lost because he got put on NFI, which is the non-football injury list, and then got released a week later. This was a very big conversation amongst players when it happened, because the argument is he was training for football, but he was away from facilities. Well, based off what his grievance is saying, and I was kind of waiting for this to come out because I was curious about the specifics of it all. The argument that he has is pretty straightforward. He wasn't at the team facility when he got hurt, but, emphasize the but there, he was working out in a manner that was supposedly, I don't want to say supposedly to knock what he's saying, but this is just what he's saying, is supposedly specifically authorized by the club, and he was with other teammates in a sort of teaching capacity. That's what his filing is claiming. Now, the reasoning for those specifics from what I pulled when I was reading the article on Pro Football Talk, so shout out to them for putting this whole thing together and me pulling all this information from there. The reasoning on the specifics is based on the memo the NFL sent out after he got hurt. So on Twitter, they actually posted a whole thing about this one. Everyone was freaking out, being like, it's not right. He's not getting his money. He was training for football and everything. In the memo, there was a line that specifically states, and I quote, "Injuries sustained while a player is working out," and this is where it was highlighted, "on his own in a location other than an NFL facility are considered non-football injuries." So I'm assuming, and I could be wrong in my assumption here, but based off of everything I'm reading and everything I collected from that, the argument that he's having is he was with other places in a teaching capacity, which he mentions in his grievance. So therefore, he shouldn't have been put on NFI and had all this happen to him, because in a way it was, again, apparently specifically authorized by the team, and he was with other players all training for his job. There's so much gray area in that. I remember when this first happened, I kind of was on his side with the whole, like, he wasn't at the facility, yes, and that's stated specifically by them that, if you got hurt outside the facility, it's a non-football injury. It sucks, though, because it's not like he was out, like, goofing around, like, playing basketball, because you've heard stuff like that where, like, players get hurt doing other things, like skiing, basketball. I mean, we've heard a number of different things. He was literally just training for his job, trying to keep himself in shape. I was reading into there that there might be some arguments that, the Broncos weren't completely following, pandemic protocols and all this other stuff. I don't know about all that stuff, to be honest with you guys, but I mean, I definitely recommend. Pro Football Talk has a whole article on it, and they deep dive everything. Go to their website, check it out. You can really read in on everything that was stated in his whole, like, entire grievance. They kind of poke out, like, the important pieces from the grievance and, like, the specific paragraphs and everything. So I guess that he's looking to recoup his $10 million in salary for 2021, and I guess the other $5 million is coming from 2022, so that's where the $15 million is. I don't know all the ins and outs of the CBA. All I do know is that when it comes to money, and this amount of money, specifically $15 million, that's a lot, it's probably going to get uglier before it gets better. I don't really know how that's going to shake out because there's so much gray area. The court of public opinion seems to be pretty split too. I see a lot of people that are like, well, he got hurt away from the team facility, and then other people arguing for him, but he got hurt training for his job because he didn't feel comfortable being at the facility. So there's a lot of gray area and all that going on. Don't know how it's going to shake out, but hopefully it works out for everyone. Maybe they get a settlement or whatever, and both parties can walk away in some happy standing. On a happy note for him, he did get signed by the Ravens today on a 2-year, $9 million deal. It sounds like the Ravens are giving him like $500K to rehab the injury that he has right now for the next year. And then there's like $8 million and some odd change that'll be due to him the following season should he be ready to go. So props to the Ravens, I guess, for kind of like planning for the future. You pull in a guy, he's not really going to be accounting for anything this year. And if he's healthy and ready to go next year, you have him under contract for a year. You can see how he does, and you're not paying a super large amount, but a solid amount for what is a quality starter player when he was on the field. But that's pretty much everything for the show. I appreciate you all for hanging out. I've been rambling on about a bunch of stuff here for the last handful of minutes. How far are we in the show right now? 35 minutes. Wow. All right. That's crazy. That blew by. It did not feel like 35 minutes. One more time, I'll run back the question of the day for you guys. Will the Titans make the Super Bowl after signing Julio Jones? There's so much conversation on it all. Also, I guess in the comment section below, because the picture that I had initially, I'll pull it up right now so you guys can see. The picture I had initially, Julio Jones wearing the number 8. Do you think he's going to wear number 8? I don't know where that number came from. I've been seeing that all of a sudden, and I haven't heard anything about the number 8. I don't know if maybe that's what he wore in college. That might be what it is. I don't know. I did not look that up, but I was wondering where the number 8 was coming from. So do you think the Titans are going to make the Super Bowl? Do you think that he's going to be wearing number 8 in Tennessee? What are your thoughts on that whole trade? Are you disappointed your team didn't get it? Let me know in the comment section below. But beyond all of that nonsense, remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. We're at 98 subs. We're trying to get to 100. We are this close to 100 subs. So let's push our way into that 100 territory and start moving towards a goal of 200, shall we? I'm Ethan Hristodoulou. Thank you all for watching. Enjoy the rest of your week. There's no live show on Thursday. I'll have some pre-recorded stuff for you guys this week. I'm going on vacation to Florida. I will be back on Monday in the morning. I don't know if I'm doing a live show then. It just depends on how fatigued I am and everything from the traveling and whatnot. So we'll see about that. But there will be some content for you guys to check out during the week. Again, I'm Ethan Hristodoulou. For real this time, thank you all for watching. Have a good rest of your week.